Welcome to the Neg Entropy Chronicles, and I'm back with another video. So remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and click that notification bell to be alerted anytime I drop a new video. So, Jeremy Lin being called coronavirus. Now, to understand who Jeremy Lin is, he was originally an NBA player, but now plays in the G League, but that still means he's an NBA player for real at the end of the day. Now, I guess some on-court banter, people do talk noise back and forth, but somebody called him coronavirus. And he didn't drop any names or anything, but what he did try to speculate on is certain aspects of racism and I'm trying to make sure I quote this because I actually found it pretty interesting and I thought it was really cool. He said, "The world will have you believe that there isn't enough justice or opportunities to go around, that we only have time to pay attention to one group of people at a time, so we all need to fight for that spot, that the people you see hurting other people that look like you on the news represent an entire group of people, but this just isn't true." Now, I actually enjoyed what he said because we do act like there's only one spot where people can be oppressed or atrocities committed against them, but really it's an entire spectrum. They are not the only people at this time that are going through it. Black people aren't the only people going through it. Spaniards aren't the only people going through it. Asian people aren't the only ones going through it. I think what's happening though is that people view it as such because of who's getting the spotlight at each time. Black people get the spotlight when they get murdered, right? But that's the only time. They don't talk about all the atrocities and the harassment that they have going on day to day unless we put it up on the internet where you see Karens harassing them, or I think they started calling them Kevins. I don't know what names they got for the male counterparts, but they give them a name as well. But what you see is when people post it, then it gets spoken about. Now with the Asian community, you're also seeing people just randomly get knocked out in the streets, attacked, things like that, which is in itself an awful, awful thing. But he does make a very good point. Like, hey, it's not just a one spot controls everything situation. We are all going through it. So you can't just look at one piece of it. Look at all of it. And everybody deserves justice. And that's true. Because the only reason he said he was able to make it through these situations is because of his coach, who actually explained to him his history and what he went through as a black man, which helped him be able to persevere through the league while he was going through it. Because remember, coronavirus only been out a year. You know what I'm saying? When you say a year, it's like, dang, just a year? Yeah, it's only been a year. It may seem longer. So that means he was just called this recently. It wasn't like something that was done years ago. Somebody specifically called him that because they were tailoring it to him. So, everybody's got to do better. Like, no one can just sit there and act like, oh, that's just a one-off. Even though they do talk a lot of noise on the basketball court, that is something that's always happened. Even when I look back at my younger age, we would talk the most ruthless things to you, and you just had to keep your mental wherewithal together. But it's also a touchy situation or subject, because if somebody was to say, if he would have said something racially tailored to the individual that said it to him, it might have caused an uproar. You see what I mean? So it's like, don't dish it if you can't take it. That's how I look at it. But, this is just a prime example of how out of control things are getting. Like, how you gonna name this dude coronavirus? Now, as a ranking person, I would find it funny if we was sitting there going back and forth ranking on each other. Somebody would be like, ooh, and you'd have to come back with something just as witty. I mean, it's kind of low bearing fruit, but still, it was still like, it'd be like, it'd get a crowd reaction. But we all got to do better. It's a sign of the times. We all got to step our game up and stop this nonsense from happening. Now, at the same time, you playing a sport that doesn't require it, but it is part of the game where you actually go at each other's necks. It's a competitive sport. Is he really complaining, or he just shining a light on something? He's just shining a light on something, in my opinion, because he didn't say any names. He didn't say, oh, well, this person said it. He didn't do all of that. He just said, hey, this is something that happened, and I feel like it's messed up, but, it happened. We just go from there. I don't like the hypocrisy or the double standard. If you're going to say it, then if he would have called you something out of your name, you can't get upset about it. And can't nobody else look around and say, hey, man, that's messed up. Unless they going after the dude and saying he messed up for doing it. That's how I view it. But I want to thank everybody for checking in. Be on the lookout for more videos. Peace.